Right guys, I can't lie. This is getting quite old. Happy Sunday. I hope we're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. So I'm just out on my morning walk at the moment. You would have seen that little clip from me packing yesterday. I was thinking, do I vlog this? I'm like, right, well, there's probably not that much to show, to be fair. It's just me packing cases and that's literally it, because I am actually moving again in just a few days. So I just wanted to get ahead, a suitcase packed to move to my friend's apartment, just because my more permanent living circumstances have been delayed, which is always going to come out of left field. But anyways, I sort of prepared for that to be later than what I was hoping for, but it is what it is. We just have to go with flow with this one, and it will happen when it happens. But it just means that I just need somewhere to tie myself over, and just so happens that obviously Emma's back in the UK at the moment, so her apartment is free. When she comes back, obviously we'll probably just live together for a little bit, but which will actually be super cute. But today, plan of action is to probably just get a few other bits and pieces organised to make that move pretty seamless. Like half of my stuff is basically, well, half of my stuff, you already know that I'm basically living out 2 suitcases anyway at the moment, but half the stuff basically is at hers now, so it won't be that much for me to pack up. Probably 1 more suitcase and then like food items, etc., and all of that, but I don't think that will be too difficult to do. Today I'm going to go into Benoist to train some legs, and my hamstrings are absolutely wrecked, like so wrecked. I trained at Muscle Hut for the first time in 2 weeks, because obviously the week before we'd had that really heavy rain and it was shut, so I couldn't get in. So it's the first session that I'd really hammered at Muscle Hut, obviously using the Cybet Smith and the leg press, etc. And I didn't even do any direct hamstring work, but the hip thrust, because the first set that I did, which is actually my top set, my heaviest set, I did 3 plates per side, but my feet were a bit too far forward, and honestly I could just feel my hamstrings just cramping when I was doing it, and I was just like, okay, this is not okay. So yeah, now the past couple of days they've been battered, so definitely no hamstring work directly today, because they are so sore. I can't remember the last time they were sore. So I'll probably just skip out on the hamstring work today, just push it into a session next week probably, because I just don't know if they're going to hack it. But I'm still going to go into train legs, obviously. It's just going to be a slight adjustment to the session. But I am looking forward to getting in, and then obviously after that I will get back in, do a little bit more work. And oh my god, I'm trying to hold my phone. I'm filming on my phone today because this is like the 17 Pro, so it does that thing where you don't have to hold it sideways, because I forgot my camera, or to bring my camera out. So I was like, might as well just try this. It's the first time I've actually filmed on this, so we'll just have to see how this comes out. But anyway, what was I saying? Later today, I have a posing session with one of my clients, Rosie. She's not competing this year, but definitely in the timeline for 2027, and she is going to be doing the team shoot. But just want to make sure that she's feeling pretty confident with the little things that she can work on with the posing. As much as I'm not like directly a posing coach for bikini, obviously I've done my fair share of posing sessions, and I feel very, very confident in being able to help my girls pose in terms of bikini posing. So I'm always very up for helping them every once in a while with these sorts of things as well. So it'd be really nice to have a proper good catch up with her actually. But this phone is actually really heavy. My shoulders are getting really pumped. Oh, and it's actually getting really warm as well. Summer is coming. The Dubai summer is definitely coming, that's for sure. It's heating up a lot now that we've had the rain pass, because we had definitely a cooler, fewer days last week. But I can feel the temperature starting to ramp up a little bit now, because it's only what is it? It's like just turned 9, and it must already be like 23 degrees. So yeah, we're getting there, guys. It's definitely going to be tanning season soon. Speaking of which, I've gotten very, very pale. I feel like the past 10 days, before even the rain started, I hadn't really been out in the sun that much. So I definitely feel like I've got some catching up to do. Tan has regressed, definitely. So going to have to commit some time to spending outside, just chilling in the sun one of these days. Once I just get this move out of the way, I can focus a bit more on that. Before I head off to the gym, I just wanted to do a quick update, because I checked in this morning. I'm a week into my dieting phase, or recomp situation, if you want to put it that way. Now, I had made some shifts last week, dropped food, increased expenditure a little bit, Clen went in, and just tidying things up really. So I'm down about 1 kilo. which is great. So I think my lowest body weight this week was 60.5. I started off this dieting phase at like just about hitting 62. Now, obviously that's not averages. So I would say average, my body weight was probably around 61.7, 61.8 at the start. And then obviously now it's kind of sitting around 60.6. So it's still about a kilo off. So I am actually quite happy with the visuals. My waist is definitely coming a bit more. I feel in myself a lot tighter. So it's just less food in my gut, for one. I feel like my cheeks are piped down a little bit because I feel when I come out of a dieting phase and I start to eat a bit more, my cheeks are like, so they pipe down, which is nice. I always do find that I'm not always a huge fan of my lower body getting as flat as maybe sometimes it does. It's not to say that it disappears by any means because I've got a good bit of muscle mass there now, but it's not like my legs are small, but my glutes have always been a little bit on the weaker side. And I find personally that they will flatten off a little bit more. Weaker body parts or priority body parts, they tend to flatten off a bit more or not be quite so forgiving. When you start dieting, you'll lose kind of a lot of fullness there in general, but stronger body parts for me, like, you know, my upper body, that will hold a bit more size and fullness. Now, I always consider like the first initial drop that you have in a diet when you start to dial things in again is going to generally be a bit of water retention, some intramuscular like fullness just from glycogen, so some of that will drop off, and not to mention just less gut volume, less food going in, therefore you're going to weigh a bit less. However, visually I do feel like I'm quite happy with that shift. I'm going to see probably where I'm at in a couple of days' time. Obviously Nathan will give me his feedback tomorrow, unless Phoebe goes into labour, which is going to be really exciting for them. Honestly, I'm buzzing for them. But I'm going to see what he thinks. But ultimately, I want to get things moving fairly quickly. So I kind of want to keep up a pretty decent rate of loss, probably around 0.7-ish, maybe 0.5 to 0.7-ish of a kilo a week. So I do want things to move. Like, I don't necessarily feel like I need like a kilo a week, but I do want things to be moving along quite well. For one, my own satisfaction, but then also because I want to know that I've got sort of time on the back end when I start to travel, etc. as well. And I just know that that work is done. It won't take me long before I feel like I'm a good bit leaner, I think, from this point, because the leaner you are to start off with, every half a kilo on a small frame, because I'm only like 5'3" as well, that can look quite significantly different. So it's not going to take a lot, but I just want to get things moving fairly quickly for my own sake, and just seeing, like, I feel like anybody, you're motivated by making progress at the end of the day. I think a lot of people think that motivation is what gets you started, but it's not. It's really not. Motivation often comes because you took action in the first place, and then the results you see make you motivated. But it's often not the other way around. So sometimes people are motivated by having enough discomfort to start off with, that the discomfort of actually making a change is outweighing the discomfort of staying the same. And that's what makes people take that initial first step, which I think unfortunately is a place that people have to get to. But you almost don't want to let yourself get to that place where you are so uncomfortable that you really feel like your back is up against the wall. I think it's much more beneficial, obviously, because then you've technically got less to do if you started when you first start to have those thoughts that you need to make a change. But you can't rely on the motivation being there to make that change. Motivation comes later. The discipline and the dedication and the commitment to yourself and knowing what is best for you long term, even though it might not be what you want to do in the short term, that has to take precedence. Like, that has to be the priority of what allows you to take that first step. It's playing the long game, because motivation is a farce. None of us are going to be motivated all the time, even me. Sometimes I don't want to do the things that I need to do, but I do them because I know that it's in my future self's best interest. And it's all about choosing long-term gratification over short-term comfort. So like the transitions and sort of tying that together, I would have thought at this point, because whenever you check in, your front and back pose look generally pretty good. But let's have a little look at and start there anyway, and then we'll work from that. That's literally spot on, to be fair. I think, oh yeah, please don't fall over. That would be a good start. Have your knee a bit more towards the front. So twist your knee a little bit. Yeah, there you go, way better. And imagine that you're gonna keep this glute tense. So yeah, good. And then with your upper body, you're going to bring this around just a little bit more. Yeah, good. Step onto that front foot, there you go, yeah, lovely. If you could still step onto the other leg and we could do a transition that way, but it will be a bit more complicated to do. If you're going to hit that front pose the same way, you'll step onto your left leg. Happy Monday, guys, and happy rest day. Here we have meal number 4. As you can see, shit's getting pretty serious because this is just chicken and veg. I did actually have 2 squares of dark chocolate with this though, and 100 grams of mango, but technically, yeah, the potato is gone. So I'm gonna get this down now. I have a call with one of my clients a little bit later, and I'm gonna round off this video for you guys. You know what, here is a good point whilst I think about it. So you would have just seen that the veg I used was this green giant veg, which is sort of a medley of, what is that? Peas, sweet corn, carrots, and green beans. Now, this actually is slightly higher in carbs and calories than if I was to say use like just green beans alone or broccoli or something along those lines, because I do always find, because sweet corn, carrots, peas, just a little bit higher in carbs, but I was actually using this towards the end of this maintenance phase anyway, so I've just kept that in as standard. But if I wanted to just naturally pull away a few calories, I could swap out this veg, which I probably will do once I've finished this bag, and swap it out for like tender stem broccoli or green beans, and that would already cut a few calories during the day without really needing to reduce down food volume all that much at all. So just bear in mind, if you are using veg that is made up of sweet corn, peas, carrots, you would definitely save yourself a handful of calories here and there by switching to veg that is slightly lower carbs per 100 grams.
It disrupts my routine because I know something's going to be changing.
Yeah, no, I know. It puts you in that sort of, that weird, like no man's land where you feel like exactly. You don't have enough time to commit, but then you don't want to just not do anything. It's like exactly. Something's coming up that you know you've got to go away for, or it's changing routine. And I think it is a skill in a way of like being able to be intentional about the time that you have, rather than thinking I can't make use of it because it's not like the perfect circumstances. Guys, I have made a rookie error. I've left all my steps, not all of them, I've left about 4,000 steps for the end of the day, which I never usually do. I'm usually all done with my steps, but I had a call with a client which went really well, sort of discuss plans for the next while and things that we wanted to change with the training. So we'll go forward with those little tweaks to make things a little bit better for her, but ultimately I never recommend leaving steps this late. Should have been a little bit more ahead of the day, but anyways, here we are. And yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll give my mum a little ring whilst I'm out on my walk, just to pass some time, catch up with her, and then we'll go from there. I have to say, I am so sore still. Like from my session on Friday, I think I might have already mentioned that I had to switch up my Sunday leg session a little bit, so I did a full body session instead, because I physically, and this is me, like usually I push through these sorts of things, but I physically just could not. I just could not finish off the rest of my leg session because my hamstrings were just broken. Like I actually feel like my hamstrings were cramping and I just couldn't even walk. So I'm battered, absolutely battered. But I didn't actually have any changes today at check-in. So we're going to crack on this week as normal, although I feel like I might start to get a bit patient if I start seeing the same sort of weights in the scale over the next few days, once I've made that initial adjustment last week now. So we'll have to see. I might have to see where I'm at about midweek and I might consider discussing with Nathan, maybe pushing things on a little bit, but no, I am just keen to get things driving forward at this point. Good morning. So just to wrap up the vlog, I've literally just gone and trained upper body in the apartment gym, which I will insert a couple of clips here. So whenever I train in the apartment, because I have limited equipment there, and to be honest, I've been running a lot of my sessions, well, not a lot of my sessions, but mainly my upper body sessions, very similar to this at the minute, which is doing generally less exercises, but doing more sets per exercise for the piece of kit or the movements that I actually want to do. So generally, if I'm training upper body in the gym, I will focus a bit more so on isolation work. So that will be utilizing a lot of like machine laterals because I just have more available to me in the gym. But if I'm training in the apartment, then naturally it becomes a little bit more like pressing work when I don't really have the luxury of having different lateral raise machines or like a rear delt fly to work with. So it depends on sort of where I'm training the sessions as well. So my upper body sessions typically vary a lot more than my lower body sessions, but still within the same realm of movement patterns that I typically would do. There's only so much that I'm going to do for upper body anyway, like let's be honest, because I don't really need all that much more upper body. It's not a priority to me anymore. Usually when I go and train in the apartment, it looks like a dumbbell lateral raise, a cable cuff lateral raise, either a Smith machine press or a double press, and just the pin loaded machine press that they have in there, which I'm not even sure what brand it is. I think it might be Matrix though. So today literally was a dumbbell lateral into the pin loaded press, into a dumbbell press, which typically I would do a cable cuff lateral before that, but someone was using the cables and there's only like two. So I just swapped those over and did my cable cuff lateral after. And then I finished off with just a couple of sets of wide grip pull down, which I always throw a couple of D handles over the edge of the rubber wide grip bar because honestly, I just hate the wide grip bar with the rubber grip with a passion, just because it's so difficult to use straps with. So if I throw over the D handles, I can actually use straps with the movement. So that was my mini session. Again, just kind of lesser exercises, but just a little bit more in terms of sets per exercise. So I'll probably round that up to 3 rather than probably know that I typically do move towards a bit lower volume. So I'm typically only doing maybe 2 sets per exercise, especially for my lower body work. However, with upper, if I'm doing less frequency, it's not as demanding. I can push the boat out to 3. And that is the session. So just a little roundup for that. I've just caught up on some messages. I've done check-ins this morning. You would have seen that yesterday, obviously I had a little call with a client of mine and boxed my steps off way later than what I should have done. But sometimes the day doesn't plan out as you think it will, but ultimately we always get it done. And yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up here. If you like the vlog, guys, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.